Hello everyone, Tom Bird, Incident Meteorologist here on the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon Fire with Southwest Team 2. And today we're going to do our daily weather update. And so we'll start out today like we have been in the past days with a look at satellite imagery across the Southwest. Again, like we had yesterday, this is Texas over here. This is the Panhandle with Oklahoma. And here's New Mexico, this big area right here. Our fire of interest right here in the southern Sangre de Cristos of northeastern New Mexico. And really fun thing to look at this day is you see this line tracking across. What that is actually the satellite kind of tracking sunrise, basically. Before the sun rises, we use what we call infrared imagery to see the clouds looking down from space, and then once the sun comes up, we're able to transfer that over to visible satellite imagery. Basically, it's a camera up in space looking down, and it shows whatever it sees. And so what we do see this morning is a whole lot of upper-level clouds streaming in from the west over the area. What you don't know here is that the lower levels are quite dry, but aloft we have some of that moisture. It's just going to give us some periods of filtered sunshine, but still a pretty sunny day across the fire with just some breaks and just some high thin clouds moving across the area. So let's get away from satellite now and move on into what the weather map looks like for today. So here's today's weather map across the area, and of course we're in this area of interest right here inside that red circle in northeastern New Mexico. And what you see is a bunch of dry area across the southern deserts of the United States. All that moisture that we had over us the previous days and it moved out yesterday is now out over the plain states of the United States. And a couple of areas of interest just to our east and our north is this area of Yellow Hatch. That's where we think that there will be some severe thunderstorms this afternoon. And then this red area is where we think there may be some actual flooding. So if you look at this inset up here in the upper right-hand corner, this is an area all the way from Nebraska through Kansas into Oklahoma. We think there'll be some severe some thunderstorms, and so that's an enhanced area of risk for large hail, damaging winds, and even slight chances for a couple of tornadoes through this area this evening. So for us, high and dry, all that moisture's out. We're back into a dry weather pattern across the fire today. So let's now jump to Wednesday. We're not expecting a whole lot of change between now and Wednesday. So I wanted to kind of skip some of that area. We'll continue warm and dry through that period with some breezy afternoon winds from primarily the west. And so, we'll just keep the current pattern in play with high pressure aloft. And that's kind of elevating fire weather concerns from today through Monday and into Tuesday. But we get to Wednesday, and what you'll see here is this big area of high pressure. This is at the surface across the plain states and the Rockies, and it's pushing south. And as it does, we'll get a little weak backdoor cold front. You can see that right here. And it'll be pushing in from the northeast Tuesday night into Wednesday. As it moves in, we'll start to see some of those northeast and easterly winds. There's a lot of Gulf moisture up here in the southern plains, and it'll push some of that moisture back west into our area. As it does, and we heat up during the day on Wednesday, we'll start to destabilize our atmosphere in this green area. Is kind of an outline of where we think we'll see some showers and thunderstorms on Wednesday. So what this does is it kind of changes the pattern from what we're in now, where we got that warm and dry. We'll be somewhat cooler, more clouds, more moisture, relative humidities will come up. Then we'll start to see chances for showers and thunderstorms over and in the vicinity of the fire. So let's move on now. And we're going to change gears just for a minute here, show two slides that kind of give us some of the tools of the trade for us incident meteorologists when we get on a fire, things that we use to help us be able to help the operations folks and those guys out in the field. Over here on the far left, what you'll see is what we call an IRAWS, I-R-A-W-S. Stands for Incident Remote Automated Weather Station. That's exactly what it looks like. That's one that we had out on another fire called the Calf Creek Fire. And with that, we can get winds, temperatures, relative humidity, fuel temperatures, rainfall, all that kind of stuff. But we have actually four on the fire, but one is up high. It's on Elk Mountain, above 11,000 feet. And for, all the way back in mid-May, we've had that up there. and it's been tracking the relative humidity. And what that gives us is it helps us to see the days that were dry, the days that were moist. And so you can see we had a moist period back here in the mid to late May. Then we had a 7-day stretch. We had really dry weather move in. And so we're able to see that by looking at that, the information coming off of that IRAWS site up there, right there in the middle of the fire. And then just the last several days, before we went into this dry period, we had that last backdoor cold front move in, and that gave us a period of really good recoveries at night where the relative humidity got up to 100%, which is as good as it can possibly get. And even the daytime minimum relative humidity stayed up about 30% and higher, which just really, really did help us buy some time and get a lot of work in there so that we were able to deal with what we got now, which is a drying period. And so we've gone back to dry. You can see that relative humidity's dropped back down, and we'll keep that through probably Tuesday, right? Okay, so let's go now to the second tool that I want to show today. And this is a software tool, right? This is some really smart folks at the Missoula Fire Lab with the U.S. Forest Service at the Rocky Mountain Research Station have come up with a program that helps us to see what the winds are going to look like over the fire. And so here what we have is an image of Google Earth, and overlaid on that I have the perimeter of our fire. This is the Hermit's Peak Calf Canyon fire perimeter, and you're looking to the northeast. North is that way, and you're looking across the fire. This is the Pecos Valley right here. This is the upper level crest that runs north to south. And here's that station that I just showed you, Elk Mountain. It's up here on the top of Elk Mountain at 11,400 feet. And then we also have another station down here at Willow. So we run this program, and what it does, it overlays winds on top of the topography. And topography really does channel that wind. It strengthens it in some place. Some places are sheltered so the wind speeds go down. So this gives us a visual that we can use to talk to operations to tell them what the wind direction, what the wind speed is going to be across the line. And these areas right here of red and yellow, these are areas of heat. They were sensed last night. This is an image from last night by an airplane that flies over. It looks down with infrared imagery, and it gives us this information. And right now, up on this ridge coming off of Elk Mountain, they're doing burning right here so that when this fire comes down, it doesn't get out south down into the valley where we have structures. So they ask us, what's the wind going to do here as we do this operation coming down this road? And so we're able to use this information to give them a really good, clear idea and a picture and a visual that they can use to know that this wind is actually going to support them, going to actually aid them to be successful in what they're trying to do. So let's move on now and get back into the weather. So here's our moisture trend going forward through the weekend and into early next week. And here's our precipitation chances. So yesterday I showed this. This is dew points, another way that we measure that moisture. We use relative humidity and we use dew point temperatures. The higher both of those are, the more moisture we have in the atmosphere. So here we were yesterday. This was Saturday, yesterday. This is kind of like we went out of that dry period and we got into a very dry scenario. But as we go through today, tomorrow, and Tuesday, we pick up very little amounts of moisture. Not enough to really help. It doesn't bring enough for a lot of clouds or a lot of precipitation or any precipitation, but it does start to make our relative humidities come back up a bit, and that'll be helpful. But then we get to Wednesday. You can see how high these dew points get. That's when that back door comes in that I showed you a couple slides ago. That's when we think we'll start to see those chances for precipitation. Now, we don't look so much at how high these bars are and how much precipitation is because these models aren't very good, especially out in the west, at doing that. But it does give us an idea of when to expect precipitation, so that's what we use this for. So it looks like Wednesday and Thursday are days where we're going to have that moisture back in the area, and we think those are the days that we'll see some showers and thunderstorms in the area. So let's go back to one more slide, I think. And this will be our final slide today. And like we always do, we show this matrix. Again, this matrix is a tool that we use on the fire. It helps us show operations folks exactly what we expect weather-wise. We color code it. Green meaning moderated fire weather conditions, which is in our favor, versus red, which is extreme to critical, which is not in our favor. So we hope for green boxes, but we're in this dry period right now where we do have some of these red boxes. Temperatures are warming, not a lot of clouds. RH is really down low, both at night and then during the day. And we've got these gusty west winds across the area. But then that front comes in Tuesday night and Wednesday, Thursday, increase those rain chances, a little bit less wind. The relative humidities come up and the temperatures come down. So we just got to get through Tuesday with this dry period. Then we get back into a brief moist environment before we start drying out again next weekend. So that's pretty much the weather, and we'll be back again tomorrow to do it again. I want to thank Tara for doing the signing. Thank you.